You just got your asses whipped by a bunch of goddamn nerds. Nerds!
Welcome back to the Nerds Podcast. I'm Puba. Below me is Cole, the kid at heart. To my left, Pete. We are covering The Last of Us, Season 2, last episode. Man, this is crazy. If you like the channel, if you're enjoying what we do, please hit a like, hit a subscribe. It is the best way to support the channel. So let's get into this. Episode 7, titled Convergence, as we get wolves, scars, failed baby deliveries. Oh my. Let's get into it. Pete, were you satisfied with the season as an overall?
So again, I'll say it again. Like I always wonder because I didn't know going into this how it related scene for scene with the game, and I'm learning that it has gone. So I know, during this episode we'll find out how much it stayed course of the game. But yeah, no, it was a big cliffhanger at the end. I did hear that next season is going to be pretty much about Abby, which is interesting, So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, Ellie was wilding in this episode, yo. I'm looking at her like, yo, what are you doing, yo? Like, you are bugging. Like she's lucky. I can't remember anyone in a movie, any character in a movie or show who has cheated death the way she did this episode right here. Amazing. And again, going back to the cliffhanger, we don't know what happened there, but like when she was on that island, oh my God, yo, I thought it was over. I thought it was over. If they killed off Joel, I was like, okay, she can get it too. If she's wilding the way being all reckless, but yeah, I just looked at it as like, wow, she is lucky as hell. I mean, there's no lottery anymore, but she should have went and played lotto after that because extremely lucky to get out of that. That's what I took. I looked at it as amazing cliffhanger. A lot of things I didn't expect, but her actions there, she was really on some shit.
Yeah, I related this to Domino from Marvel, that she kind of calculates and escapes death on a consistent basis, just the way she does things. But yeah, I could see where you're saying that completely. And Cole, did the finale give you what you want?
It did. I had a feeling it was gonna get to that part where I was hoping that she meet up with Abby. That's what I wanted, and I ended up getting that right there. And you got a little extra of Seattle Day 1 with Abby there. So yeah, I did get what I wanted for sure.
Yeah, I think that Abby and Ellie are two sides of the same coin here, and this is completely beautifully acted, shot. It told a great deal of how we deal with our own inner circle, hence communities, and how we put people on a different path by our action. And then we open this episode up, of course, with some screams, and it's Captain Wyoming. Jesse is tending to Dina. Jesse offers her a drink because he has to push this arrow straight through Dina's leg, which is the correct way to actually take out an arrow. But she denies the drink because she has a bun in the oven. Pete, do you think that she should have just told Jesse right there?
Well, you know what's crazy is that I was too focused on. That's good to know. That's the best way to take out an arrow. It's good to know. I never knew that.
Yeah,
So,
because the
no,
way the arrows
real talk.
are.
I did not know that. Like you got to push that
Right.
shit through. That's crazy. But yeah, I didn't pick up on that. Why she was really denying the drink. But then when he explained it to Ellie later, I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. But I was too focused on, oh man, he's got to push. He's talking about he's got to push that through. Like, what are you talking about? But I didn't know that was the best way to take out an arrow. Now I know that scene makes a lot more sense. But it also makes sense why she denied the drink. And when he said, this one won't turn down a drink for anything. That's when he knew something was up. Great. That whole thing was great, man. Jesse, God bless him. But yeah, it's that scene. Yeah, she should have told him right then and there. But I don't think she was focused on that. She had an arrow in her leg that she was being told I gotta push it through to the other side. So it's right here. If I pulled it out, it's this quick. But I have to push it all the way through. I'm sure she was worried more about that than telling him the news. I think she said, I can get to that later, I'll tell him later. I
You know,
got an
the funny
arrow in
thing
my
is,
leg, bro.
Let's get through this first.
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Oh my God.
I never want to hear anybody complain about ripping off a band-aid. Like,
But
I
that
see it
was
right
no,
there.
thank you, because I did not know that that was the proper way to remove an arrow. Hopefully I'm never in that position, but that's interesting to know though.
Yeah, yeah. Because of the arrowhead, of course,
Yeah.
having those angles, it just probably would create a bigger hole, more blood,
Oh
and
my
of course,
God.
it would have pulled on an artery, which would have killed her. The next scene, where Ellie is actually knocking on the door, and Jesse has to verify her by asking her horse's name. And we're taken to the green room, where Ellie sees Dina sleeping with her leg wrapped. Dina takes off Ellie's shirt to tend to her wounds. Cole, take me on your thoughts of this scene as Ellie confesses what Joel did and her own guilt of how she was able to be okay with hurting Nora.
Well, I guess similar to the question why Dina didn't take the opportunity to tell Jesse at that moment when she didn't take the drink. I guess Ellie, with all the chaos and everything that's going on, you could tell she felt so guilty. The way she was getting the information from Nora, that eventually, look, I guess let me explain now that I know you're pregnant, you're wounded, I care for you. Let me explain why we're here, really, and what's going on. And wow, that was tough because you could tell the mood switched with Dina. Dina was giving her side eyed and looking very like, she looked upset. She didn't say much, but she definitely looked upset. And I think it was about time that she fessed up to Dina because she I was thinking maybe she should have told her before. I mean, after she found out she was pregnant, and when she asked her the first time, "Look, you want to go back to Jackson?" Maybe she should have gave her the whole story there to give her an opportunity to see if she wanted to go back to Jackson or not. But I do remember that Dina was like, "All right, let's go home then. Like it's over. I don't even want to be in this situation right now."
Yeah, when I saw Ellie cry and how she's written on the show, because it's very different on the character build from the game to the show. I saw in that scene when she was crying that she wanted to break the cycle of violence. How Ellie, when she was talking about how easy it was hurt to Nora. And you're right. Immediately she says, "We need to go home. I'm done with your shit. I need to go back home. I'm not dealing with this because this is a path that I was never a part of." So I agree with you, Cole, 100% on that. Well, we then see the title. It says Day 3 in Seattle. And this is super important because towards the end, we now get that we're getting something back. But Day 3 showing in that title right there when Ellie and Jesse are going out to look for Tommy, while, of course, Dina barricading herself. And we get some great dialogue between the two. Pete, do you take Jesse's view on telling Ellie that he understood the Dina triangle and that he wants to get his kid out of Seattle? That's all he cares about. Tell me what your view on that is.
It's good that he, there should be more men who are that upfront about how they feel. You understand? And more understanding about, look, this is a losing battle that I'm fighting. Look, I see how you guys look at each other. I see how she looks at you. But his focus was his child, which to me, at some point you have to cut your losses and be like, okay, this is what it is. There's nothing I can do about this. So let me, that is my child. It's not Ellie's, it's my child. Let me make sure I do what's best for that child. And so, nah, props to him. I really liked the part he played in this. And look, he told her the truth. I voted no. I voted no because you
What?
know what, and I also like when he said, you know what, I was brought up to put other people first. I really like Jesse. This episode showed me a lot more a better view on Jesse than previous one. Even though I co-said it, I think in the last episode that I don't think anybody's rooting against this guy or nobody sees him as their least favorite character. But he showed a lot this episode for me anyway. Just showing how he handled the situation and being upfront. I told you I voted no.
Cole, you were gonna say something.
Yeah,
Huh?
no. When he said that, I screamed at the TV and said, "I knew it."
I called it as well. I was counting the votes. I think I called it as
You
well.
did say that. Yeah, you did say you
But but
did.
but I do like how in this episode they talk about Abby being the future and Jesse as well. Same thing. He was kind of the next in line to take over. So I kind of like that path. Of course, this is much more gut wrenching later as we discuss this. But we get another prophet of the Seraphites, and Ellie says there's more than one because she's not understanding. I'm taking this as very similar to how we depict Jesus sometimes as a white male when clearly he was Middle Eastern. So, just that kind of a nature as they're putting up those pictures. That's how I took it. But then we see another storm on the horizon. And this show does a phenomenal job, which indicates that we're going to get another Convergence, which is the name of the episode, much like in episode 2 that we saw a storm coming up ahead. And as the rain starts and our Jackson people are looking for cover, we get this young Seraphite that's kind of being tortured by Isaac's guy that he saved. And, I particularly was a little taken back, but Cole, was Jesse right by not letting Ellie defend the young Seraphite?
Yeah, absolutely. Jesse was definitely right because the goal right here now is we need to leave. So like you keep putting us in a situation where we shouldn't be at. And then with Ellie's side though, I get it as well. When she was like, "Look, you're always stressing community," but I was there when I grew up. All I saw was just bad things. So with Ellie wanting to help the kid, I get that part as well. But Jesse, to answer your question, Jesse was definitely right in the sense where, look, man, we just got to go.
You see, I take it to the game, right, Cole? And I'm thinking 6-2 odds. Man, those are probably enjoyable odds for Ellie in the game. But the show does a great job of grounding the situation to make it more realistic. Even though these two are pretty much a badass, and I think they could have taken the 6 out. But we're taken to Isaac and Elise and the conversation about Abby's whereabouts. And then they're questioning all this at a Costco parking lot, of all places. So this is what I believe to be the storyline for season 3 and how Isaac and Abby had either a tidbit or a kerfuffle or something that happened that she kind of went over to the aquarium and he didn't know where she was at. So I'm curious to see that scene is going to tell us a lot about season 3, in my opinion. But we come back to the library where they rendezvous when they're looking for Tommy, but Tommy's not there. It was great to see Ellie pick up the Sesame Street book, The Monster at the End. I remember this book because it basically tells Ellie's arc as it encourages readers not to continue. That there's a monster at the end. This is not going to end well. But the monster at the end winds up being Grover himself, which is what I loved about the fact that she picked up that book, and that's what I got out of it. But Jesse admits that he loves Dina, but not in the way Ellie loves her. And then he confesses that he was happier with another chick for 2 weeks.
Mexican chick.
Hey,
Yeah, yep.
when you go lacking, you don't go back in. All right, but then we go over the radio. They hear that the two bulls are being pinned down by possibly Tommy. Pete, do you believe that that scene at the library, that any animosity between Dina and Jesse was squashed right there?
Between Dina and Jesse.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Between I apologize, not between Dina and Jesse, between Jesse and Ellie.
Or when he admitted that he didn't Yeah, I think so. That's when she decided to continue to go, and he said, "I hope you come out all right." And I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, yeah, I would say so because I think they made their agendas pretty clear there, which is she was still hell bent on finding Abby, and he was hell bent on getting out of Seattle with his kid.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, I would think, I would hope so. I mean, and seeing how they were at the end of the show, I would say yes.
yeah,
But
yeah. And that's what told the story for me as well. Like
yeah,
that whole situation between the love triangle inside the library was deaded there. But that I don't think they had to rekindle that conversation anymore because they understood that he just wants to be a dad and she can have Dina. That's how I took it.
yep.
So then, this leads to what we were discussing, which I think is the best scene in the episode, when the conversation, when they're at the tower and they're hearing the gunshots to find out where Tommy is at. And they have this great conversation. We get to the vote. And it's the conversation that I enjoyed the most. But whose side on the Cole, this is for Cole, but whose side are you on the conversation when it comes to community? Is it about Jackson or is it about your inner circle, right? Because that's what Ellie was saying. 'Cause I saw my community die in front of me. Uh, whose side are you on the conversation when it comes to community, Cole? Is it Ellie or is it Jesse?
I'm going on. My opinion would be going on the Jackson side of it, being raised by that community and family because of the peace and the preparation that Jackson has.
Oh man. And Pete, what do you think Ellie should have done there? Should she have gone with Tommy, or should she have continued that revenge tour?
I said it a couple episodes ago. She should have packed up and went back to Jackson before this. And listen, I understand, like you said, and that's big. When she said my community died in front of me, completely understand that. But if you're telling me that, and look, Joel was all right when he was like, "Oh, you and Dina, is that your girlfriend now?" Remember he asked her. I'm sure Joel would have wanted to see you live your life, the best life you can make it in this situation, as opposed to going on. And look, she almost died. She was this close to freaking dying. I think Joel would have been okay with her going back and living her life with someone she loved, as opposed to going on this revenge tour and cheating death all the time. But I completely understand what she said. She sold it really well. My community died in front of me, which hit home. Like, yo, wow, okay, I get it. I get why she's doing this. But you can't expect everybody to sign up for it as well, especially when they have more at stake. Dina's, is pregnant. That's Jesse's child. Their focus right now is not avenging Joel. It's getting the baby out of Seattle. So yeah, man. I would have packed up a long
Listen,
time ago.
it's not an easy question, right? To stick with Tommy or to go by herself. And I think she's thinking that Tommy's going to go with her, but then that's when sorry, not Tommy, but Jesse. But that's when Jesse's like, "Yo, I didn't even vote your way. Like, if
It,
you
it,
thought I'm
it
on your side, I didn't even vote your way."
it's easy for me, man. Like again, I said it a couple episodes ago. I would have packed up as soon as she told me, "Yo, I'm prego. Let's go. We gotta
Mhm.
go."
And
Um,
Jesse threw it out there. He was like, "Look, I saved your ass."
uh,
I'm
uh,
the shit. I'm
yeah,
the
Yeah.
shit in this
Hampton,
show.
Wyoming, baby, get it together. Uh, Ellie puts the whale and the wheel together, right, when she sees it, and then unfortunately she starts heading that way. We
Ugh.
get a crazy sequence where we see Isaac and the rest of the wolves jump on the boats to attack the Scar Island. We're between a mini tidal wave that takes Ellie to the same island that the wolves are heading to. Cole, talk to me about that young Seraphite girl, and she finds Ellie, and she almost gets gutted on the island. But tell me what your thought process was on that.
Man, I'm glad you asked me that because here is a game reference. That is not part of the game. That
Mm.
section right there when she ends up in the island, like the island is part of the game, but they kind of like threw it in there as a hint. So Ellie being on the boat, the whole sequence of riding that boat, heading to the aquarium, All that's in the game, except the part with when she ended up at the shore with the
Terrified.
Seraphite child, right? So now I'm watching this, and I don't mean to laugh, but when she saw the news, she was like, get off of me." I was like, "You're done."
That's for you.
Yeah, like
That's for you.
they took her straight over there, and then now
Happy birthday.
she's pleading with the child, and the child said, "Off with her head." And I was like, "There's no Joel. He's done. You, Jesse left you right now. You're cooked. You're absolutely cooked. I want to see what kind of crazy drama is going to happen that they're going to save you." But it ended up being they were attacking the island, so they let her go. And like Pete said, talk about cheating death, man.
Phew.
It was for me that was a corny way of cheating death again. Like, this is way too much. I would have liked more if Ellie would have finagled her way out of it, did some Rambo stuff and fought these guys. But that scene right there was definitely I don't know if it was needed, to be real with you, but they did it, and the way she cheated death, I wasn't too happy about that. And then just jumps back on the boat and heads out to the aquarium where that, like you said, that big ass tidal wave came. I'm like, that's another one. Like, we need to make a drinking game out of this. How many times Ellie cheats death?
Take a shot.
Yeah.
We're gonna be hammered for season 3.
Well, we gotta do Abby then. We gotta do
Yeah. I love that the little girl gave her the gladiator. Though.
Yep.
That's what it reminded me of, the gladiator scene. But Ellie gets back on the boat, as Cole said, and we get to the aquarium, where it seems to be kind of a station for an infirmary of some sort. And I mean, there's fresh blood there. You could tell that something just kind of recently happened. Pete, this was one of the toughest scenes I've ever seen on TV, in my opinion. And the whole Mel and Owen situation, and it reminded me of as if Abby was looking at maybe like Jesse and Dina situation. But just walk me through what your thought process was from the moment that he went to go get the gun to her using Joel's tactics. He used it prior to point on the map.
That was cool.
She got that from him, if you remember that. But walk me through that scene. What your thought was, man?
So before she gets to the aquarium, she's in the boat heading back. Aquarium's this way. I was like, you better go that way and get your ass home. Go home. You wanna continue to roll the dice, and then you're gonna go to the aquarium where you almost got gutted. Like, you're lucky. The wolves actually saved her ass because they attacked the island. That would have been my look. I said it before. They should have been went home. That was if I'm in Ellie's shoes, I would have been like, oh, that's it. It's time to go. There's the aquarium, and it's gonna be off in the distance because I'm going that way. I'm going back to the theater. Okay, guys, let's go. Let's pack it up and go. But then she went. She continued to look for Ellie. I'm like, oh my gosh, and I said it earlier. She was wild in this episode. She completely. Jesse wasn't helping her. She still decided to go. Hit by a tidal wave, almost got hanged, and then gutted.
Got it.
And then said, you know what? Let me push my luck again. And again, she encounters both of these. And one, I didn't know that she was pregnant. So then the guy's like, oh my God. I liked his expression when he goes, you can't be serious. Like when he saw Ellie, he said, I let you live. And it's like, listen, man, I don't care about that. I want Abby, and that's it. And they continue to try to protect her. Nora was her name, right? The one that got infected. Her, and then this guy. So I'm bugging on why they kind of threw their lives away for her, because he went to grab the gun at the last minute, and of course he's gonna shoot. Don't pull out a gun if you're not gonna use it. And he tried to do it and he lost. But when she fired twice, she got the female
in the neck. Showed that cut.
That was
With
like,
the
oh
bullet.
man. But then again, I don't know that she's pregnant. I don't know if that's something in the game if she's pregnant. But
If I
then I'm watching her and then when she left, she was like, I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I didn't know if she was gonna do it or not. It was but I'll disagree with you on my experience. The boys with termite, that scene, and the scene with the deep in the
That's a
first
different kind of
episode.
yuck, but yeah.
Those were more difficult than this episode. That was nothing because she didn't do anything. Those and Cole, I know you don't watch The Boys. You don't
yeah.
want to know about those parts.
Okay, bet. Thank you for the heads up, my
No, no,
brother.
no. You don't. You seriously don't want to know about those
We
parts
have to
Copy.
take Cole down that rabbit hole. I'm telling
because
you.
that was a
Gut
you're kind
wrenching.
of like pushing yourself back when those scenes were happening in those episodes. But I don't want to get off topic. But this to me wasn't as bad as that. I
Okay.
could watch this because she didn't actually do anything. So I was like, okay, it wasn't that bad. The premise of it was, wow, she wants her to cut out her freaking baby, yo. Like, what? Ellie, you should have went home.
Mm-hmm.
You should have went home. But that scene for me that's what that scene was for me. Like, yo, she's Ellie, get your ass home, yo. What are you doing?
So what was
To the side of the game, yeah.
what was cool about it was yes that she was pregnant in the game,
Oof.
and Ellie takes her down. But what they didn't do in the game that they did in the show, which I thought was cool, was the part you was talking about, Pete. That she was telling her take the baby out, and I was like, I don't want to see this. I'm like, oh, don't do it. So I'm watching Ellie crying and she's panicking. I like that Ellie didn't do anything because she doesn't have the skills.
Yeah.
So, you was just gonna do more harm than help. Even though it was an accidental kill, even though she would have definitely unalived her if she needed to just to find Abby, but it was an accidental one. And on top of that, she was pregnant. So in the show, they have it. They did it more dramatic, and I love that part because it was more like, oh shoot, if she's going to do this. What really creeped me out was where the lady's last breath when she was like, "Oh, you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job." I was like, "Wow, this is insane."
That's what made it tough watch for me in that sense, of that nature. Because I know there's people out there that died during childbirth. This one died via a gunshot trying to give childbirth. Man, for me it was tough. But let's continue. Tommy and Jesse find her. Ellie's a little bit in shock, and we are taken back to the auditorium. And Tommy makes sure that Ellie understands that they are going back, and she has to make good with that. Jesse and Ellie settle in on their ideologies between each other, which I actually enjoyed that talk. We hear the commotion, and I'm gonna let Pete. Actually, I'm gonna let Cole first walk me through his thoughts on this, and then I'm gonna get Pete's talk on this.
So, all right. Um, you're talking about now they're ready to pack up and leave. Right? Ellie comes back. She's like, okay, enough is enough. After that trauma, like she can't take this no more. It's time to go. Tommy's here. Hooray! We're all together now. Let's just get out this piece. Like they finally listening to you, Pete. They're like, yo, we out of here.
After
But
Ellie cheated death 10 times. Okay, now I can go.
yep. And then we're gonna add 11 because right there, Abby pulls up and shows her and comes in and comes with authority, talking about you guys killed my Tommy killed my friends. I'm about to murder this guy, and then Jesse goes out. What a way for Jesse to go. It's sad that this show be taking out all the good guys, or should I say my favorite characters, man. But in the game, yes, Jesse does die. It's meant to happen, so that was definitely for sure. And I saw it coming, but at the same time, the way they did it in HBO, it was really good. It looked like the video game, to be honest with you. Like when he ran right in and went down, and then you see his face bleeding out, and Ellie coming out with her hands up and telling Abby, all that again verbatim through the game. It was exactly the way it should be, and gosh, that scene was necessary. That's the scene I was waiting for. I wanted them to finally link up, and the way they linked up was great. So I loved it.
Pete, walk me through that because the Jesse death took me back to White Tiger. Like I relived that scene right there with White Tiger all over again. The way Jesse went down. Pete, what did you think of that scene?
So again, didn't play the game, so I'm watching this like this is all brand new. And I hear the commotion. They go out, and Jesse gets it bad. And I said, "Oh shit!" Like I said it. I said, "Oh shit!" Like I jumped. And then I hear Abby. I was like, "Oh, this is it, man. This is the." And you guys had said it. I want to see Ellie and Abby face to face. I thought it was gonna be the other way around. Ellie having the upper hand. Ellie did not have the upper hand.
Mm.
Abby had Tommy face down on the floor. God knows what happened to Dina because we heard shots already. So who knows what's going on? And that to me set up that cliffhanger because of course she does say, she takes ownership that I killed your people, not them, trying to save Tommy's life. And then what really hit me was I let you live and you wasted it.
What a dope line,
It
right?
was it was supposed to be over. Look, Joel killed my dad, and I got my revenge on him. That's where it should have been over. I guess Ellie didn't see it that way because Joel was saving her life. It was for her, and she really had no part in her dad's death because she was on the table. She was already under. She was already under. They took the mask off. They were ready to operate. So she had nothing to do with that, but she wanted to get her lick back. And I guess when she said that to me, it was like, yo, you should have left this alone because I'm not the bitch you want to mess with. And she was there. She had Tommy on the floor. She already took care of Jesse. Dina's pregnant and got a wound in her leg from an arrow. She's pretty much out the picture too. So it's one on one, and she's got a gun right on you. So and then the cliffhanger is after she dropped that line, she fired, and Ellie begging her not to. She fired, and it went fade to black.
Yeah, I don't because I ended the game a while back ago, so I don't know what goes on right now. But in my head, I'm thinking that because of what happened at the aquarium and the baby and Mel and that whole situation, I'm thinking that Dina is behind Abby, and Ellie is saying, "Don't shoot," to Dina behind her.
Mm.
But we get the bang, it goes to black, and it goes to black for a minute. It's not even like bang and we get the next scene. They let us settle with that for a minute. They let us soak it in and boom, day one appears. So we went from day three back to day one. And this is a Groundhog Day. We're going to relive these days out through via Abby's perspective in season three.
Cool. I love it.
And I call this now the Cobra Kai effect, where you were rooting against Johnny the whole time during Karate Kid, and now when you watch Cobra Kai, you're now rooting for Johnny. I think that's what the directors, and I think that's the way they're going to do it for the final season. But Cole, your final thoughts, please.
So in this show, I want you guys to pay close attention to what happened in this last episode, because as we walk through in the video game, you have to play as Abby, and I'm able to say that now. So for season 3, we are going to have the continuation of The Last of Us 2, the video game, where you end up playing as Abby and going and seeing Abby's story. I'm very excited for you guys because, like I said prior, this series, the way they build the characters has you flip-flopping back and forth. So I can't wait for you guys to see Abby's side of the story and for me to ask, well, what do you think? And, who would you side upon with this? Overall, the series was great. It was a lot of fun. I want to piggyback off of what Pete said. 7 episodes was perfect, just under 2 months, but I was entertained every Sunday. The way they do the sets, the way it looks, like with Abby waking up and standing in the Seahawks is a football field, but she has all the wolves and her being like a kind of like a general. I thought the aesthetics of the entire show was so good. Like the way they do the sets, a lot of Easter eggs, a lot of there's going to be some callbacks. So please remember Ellie's journey on that Seattle trip, because there's going to be a lot of callbacks and you're going to see Abby's side of it as well. Again, overall, great show. Can't wait for season 3. And props. Had a lot of fun watching this.
Pete, final thoughts.
Real quick on your reference to the Karate Kid. There's a theory out there that the real villain of the Karate Kid is LaRusso and not Johnny. Because if he minds his business at the beach, he doesn't get in a fight.
Yeah.
At the Halloween party, this guy was rolling a joint in the bathroom and he decided to put the hose up there and wet him.
Yep.
So I've heard that theory. I'm not saying that I agree with it. It's interesting to hear that theory about that. Look, Daniel LaRusso is the real villain of that movie, not Johnny, because Johnny lived there. He was a new Jack, and he was talking with his ex-girlfriend, trying to get her back, and he was like, "Hey, man," and he got his ass whooped on the beach. And if he minds his business, none of this happens. But this whole series, and I'll continue to be on that train where the shorter episode, the shorter series to me is a little bit more engaging because it doesn't drag and oh my god, I forgot what happened in the 3rd episode, because it's really put together nice. And but I'm intrigued on seeing season 3 from Abby's perspective. And when she woke up, it said day 1. I was like, okay, this is how they're gonna do it. Because I read a comment online. Somebody was like, because one of the show's creators said, yeah, we need more seasons to tell this entire story. And the comment was, well, if you would have did more than 7 episodes, you could have finished it, because they finished the first game in the first season, right?
That is correct.
That's what the guy had said. That's the guy's comment was. So I was just like, okay, that makes sense, but whatever. This is a hit, so they're going to try to, get as much out of it as they can. So, interested to see that. And again, like you said, Dina's, like what Pooba said, Dina's behind her. Maybe she's telling Dina not to shoot. I believe that my prediction is that's going to be the season finale of season 3, finding out what happened there. Who's Ellie talking to? Does Ellie get shot? Does somebody else get shot? We'll see, but that's my prediction, that all gets tied up at end of season 3. Whenever that is, hopefully it's sooner than later. We're in a day and age where things keep getting pushed back. Avengers, Grand Theft Auto 6, so hopefully that doesn't befall this series, because this, and I'll piggyback on what Cole said, it's been done perfectly to how it looks, writing, acting, everything.
Man, I as well enjoyed this season. I think it really does show us how bad humans can really be when they feel justified in their own actions. It takes me sometimes to the political view here in the U.S. sometimes, how people say that they're okay with certain things because, again, just on that perspective and the view of their own. I enjoyed seeing Dina and Ellie, their relationship. I believed in them as much as it was done in a bad way, in a sense. Like, she cheated on Jesse, in my opinion. But I think they have broken up, so I don't know. The fact that they were able to keep so much dialogue and from the game, and you have a director who directed the game to make sure that the content comes out the exact same way and feels the exact same way. I mean, great job on the acting, great job on the directing. The writing's been fantastic, even though it's already been written. And I'm hoping that futuristically, when it comes to comic books, movies, when it comes to hero movies, when it comes to anything of nature, it just shows you don't have to deviate too much from the source material. And the fact that they didn't and they kept it this way, I think it's what keeps people to the show, even though Pedro Pascal is gone. I really enjoyed covering this season of The Last of Us with both you guys. I think we got so much out of it. There was laughter, there was a little bit of sadness, there was worrisome. It gave us all the emotions we could possibly think of, even up to laughter in this crazy world. For the nerds, from Puba, Co, and Pete, we want to thank you again for liking and subscribing our content. We'd love to hear feedback on this from you. If there's anything that we missed that you did want to talk about, man, write it out. Let's discuss that. Um, I'll leave this up to Pete.
We will return.
The worst episode ever.